This picture indicates hydrostatic or externally pressurized lubricated bearing system. Okay, in this system, it consists of a bearing, and this dotted circles indicates a lubricant. Okay, and this one indicates pump. Okay, so totally this one is hydrostatic lubrication system. Okay, this system consists of externally pressurized pump. This one is externally pressurized pump. Okay, and this one is a shaft. Okay, this internal rotating member is a shaft. Okay, a load is acting on the shaft, and this this outer surface is bearing. Okay, here a lubricant is applied to separate the shaft and bearing surfaces. Okay, this is the at the time of rest condition, at the time of journal rest position, and this one is position at a full speed. Okay, journal at a full speed position ఇది. Now, the hydrostatic bearings are those which can support steady loads without any relative motion, without any relative motion between the journal and bearing. Okay, okay, this one journal or shaft, and this one is bearing. So, hydrostatic bearings are those which can support steady loads without any relative motion between the journal and bearing. Okay, and this is achieved by forcing externally pressurized lubricant between the members. Okay, this one is the externally pressurized lubrication system. Okay, so a hydrostatic bearing employs a positive pressure supply that maintains clearance. Okay, this one is the clearance. Clearance means the gap between shaft and bearing. Okay, a hydrostatic bearing employs a positive pressure supply that maintains clearance between the rotating and stationary elements. Okay, this one is a rotating element. This shaft is a rotating element. This outside bearing is stationary element. So the hydrostatic bearings implies a positive pressure supply that maintains clearance between the shaft and bearing between the. Okay, with a hydrostatically lubricated bearing, the lubrication is introduced under pressure between the moving surfaces. Okay, these two contact surfaces. Okay, now what are the advantages of hydrostatic lubrication system? Hydrostatic lubrication doesn't depend on the relative motion to maintain the lubrication film. Okay, it can accommodate heavy loads at low speeds. They can also provide large direct stiffness as well as damping energy dissipation coefficients. Okay, now what are the disadvantages of hydrostatic lubrication system? It is This hydrostatic lubrication system is more expensive. Okay, is more expensive to manufacture than hydrodynamic bearings. Okay, the cost of this arrangement system is more than the hydrodynamic system. Okay, and also the manufacturing the manufacturing cost also high as compared to other bearings. More expensive to operate. Okay, it is more expensive to operate because pressure boosting. pressure boosting is required for the lubricant, leading to increased investment on energy cost. So this is the boosting system. Okay, pressure boosting system or pump. Okay, so the cost of this pump is also high compared to other pumps. Okay, so for this hydrostatic bearings, external pressurized pump is very important. Without pump, we can't pump lubricant. Okay, so hydrostatic lubrication system is very expensive compared to other bearings. Now coming to the another topic, that is the hydrodynamic lubricated or thick film lubricated bearings. This is the construction figure for hydrodynamic bearing system. Okay, in hydrodynamic lubricated bearings, there is a thick film. There is a thick film of lubricant. This is a thick film of lubricant between the journal and bearing. Okay, so this shaft is also called journal or moving element. This one is moving element. This yellow circle is moving element or shaft. Okay, and this outside circle is stationary element or bearing. Okay, now the gap between shaft and bearing is called clearance. Okay, this gap is filled with the lubricant, that is oil or grease, whatever it may be. Okay, now in hydrodynamic lubricated bearings, there is a thick film of lubricant between the journal and bearing. Okay, and a little consideration will show that when the bearing is supplied with sufficient lubricant, a pressure is built up in the clearance space. Okay, this one is the clearance. A pressure is built up in the clearance space when the journal is rotating about an axis that is eccentric with the bearing axis. Okay, the load can be supported by this fluid pressure without any actual contact between the journal and bearing. Okay, this is the journal, this is the bearing surface. Okay, the load carrying ability of the hydrodynamic bearing arises simply because a viscous fluid resists being pushed around. Under the proper conditions, this resistance to motion will develop a pressure distribution in the lubricant film that can support a useful load. Okay, the load supporting pressure in hydrodynamic bearings arises from either the flow of viscous fluid in a converging channel known as wedge film lubrication, or the resistance of a viscous fluid to being squeezed out from between approaching surfaces known as a squeeze film lubrication. Okay, now what are the advantages of hydrodynamic lubrication? Now what are the advantages of hydrodynamic lubrication? Its service life is more than the hydrostatic bearings, and the minimal maintenance requirements and damping that can significantly reduce the vibration. Several methods of lubricating these bearings can be found in various applications. Okay, these are the advantages of hydrodynamic lubrication. And what are the disadvantages of hydrodynamic lubrication? First one is the tight clearance. The tight clearance required to form a hydrodynamic wedge for such a low viscosity substance requires extremely close tolerances and therefore high manufacturing costs. Okay, so therefore the cost of manufacturing for hydrodynamic bearings also more. Okay, this is the these are the disadvantages of hydrodynamic bearings. These are the advantages of hydrodynamic bearings. Okay, now what are the assumptions considered in hydrodynamic lubricated bearings? Okay, the following are the basic assumptions used in the theory of hydrodynamic lubricated bearings. Okay, first one is the lub the lubricant obeys Newton's laws of viscous flow. Okay, this lubricant, the oil or grease or mineral oils, okay, obeys Newton's laws of viscous flow. Okay, Newton's laws of viscous flow. And second one is the pressure is assumed to be constant throughout the film thickness. Okay, the pressure is assumed to be constant throughout the film, and the lubricant is assumed to be incompressible. Okay, here we are using lubricant. We are using lubricant between the shaft and journal, shaft and bearing. So this lubricant is incompressible fluid. Okay, incompressible fluid means uh, it is not a gases. Okay, it is a liquid or semi-liquid. Okay, and fourth one is the viscosity is assumed to be constant throughout the film. Okay, the viscosity is assumed to be constant throughout the film. The flow is one dimensional. Okay, the flow of lubricant is one dimensional. That is the side leakage is neglected. Okay, now what are the important factors for the formation of thick oil film in hydrodynamic lubricated bearings? According to Reynolds, the following factors are essential for the formation of a thick film, thick film of oil in hydrodynamic lubricated bearings. Okay, a continuous supply of oil, and second one is a relative motion between the two surfaces in a direction approximately tangential to the surfaces. The ability of one of the surfaces to take up a small inclination to the other surface in the direction of the relative motion. The line of action of resultant oil pressure must coincide with the line of action of the external load between the surfaces. Okay. Now, I am explaining about terms used in hydrodynamic journal bearing. Okay, this diagram shows hydrodynamic journal bearing. Okay, here this outer circle is the bearing, is a stationary element, that is a bearing. Okay, and this inside circle is a journal or shaft. Okay, and this O dash O dash is the center of a bearing and O is the center of a shaft. Okay. Now capital R is the radius of a bearing, and small r is the radius of a shaft. Okay, and small e is the eccentricity. Eccentricity means the radial distance between two centers. That means the distance between center of a bearing and center of a shaft. Okay, O dash is the center of a bearing, O is the center of a shaft. So the distance between O dash and O is the eccentricity. Okay, eccentricity is the distance between two centers. Okay, and this H naught is the minimum oil film thickness. Okay, here this gap is maximum oil film thickness. Okay, now I will explain one by one. A heterodynamic journal bearing is shown in figure, in which O is the center of the journal and O dash is the center of the bearing. Okay, first one is here capital D. Capital D equal to diameter of the bearing. Okay, this outer circle is the bearing. So capital D is the outer diameter of the bearing, and the small capital R is the radius of the bearing. Okay, small d is the diameter of the shaft. Okay, small d is the diameter of a shaft or diameter of a journal. Okay, small r is the radius of a shaft. Okay, and L equal to length of the bearing. Okay, here L equal to length of the bearing. Okay, now the following terms used in hydrodynamic journal bearing are important from the subject point of view. Okay, I will explain one by one. First one is diametral clearance. Okay, diametral clearance means the difference between the diameters of the bearing and journal. Okay, so diametral clearance means the difference between the diameter of the bearing and the diameter of the shaft. Okay, so it is mathematically diametral clearance equal to capital C. It is indicated by capital C. So therefore diametral clearance capital C equal to diameter of the bearing minus diameter of the shaft. Okay, it is the mathematical expression for diametral clearance. Okay, where capital D equal to here from here to here the diameter is capital D, and from here to here the diameter is small d. Okay, the difference between capital D minus capital D minus small d is diametral clearance. So diametral clearance is indicated by symbol capital C. Okay, and the next one is diametral clearance ratio. Diametral clearance ratio, so it is the ratio of diametral clearance to the diameter of the shaft. Okay, so diametral clearance ratio equal to ratio of diametral clearance divided by diameter of the shaft. So it is mathematically capital C by small d. Capital C is the diameter clearance, small d is the diameter of the shaft. So capital C by small d equal to capital D minus a small d. Capital D minus small d equal to capital C divided by small d. Okay, this is the mathematical expression for diametral clearance ratio. Okay, and third one is radial clearance. Radial clearance, that is a C1. Okay, radial clearance. It is indicated by symbol C1. It is the difference between the radii of the bearing and journal. Okay, uh, radial clearance is the difference between the radii of the bearing and journal. Okay, here already we know that capital D is equal to diameter of the bearing, whereas small capital R equal to radius of the bearing. Okay, small d is the diameter of a shaft, so small r is the radius of a shaft. So the difference between radius of the bearing minus radius of the shaft equal to radial clearance. So radial clearance is denoted by symbol C1. Okay, here capital R minus small r also denoted by capital C by 2. Okay, capital C means capital D minus small d. Okay, this one is capital C, capital D minus small d by 2. Okay, now coming to the uh, another one, that is eccentricity. Already I have explained about eccentricity. Once again I will explain. So it is the radial distance between the center O of the bearing and the displaced center O dash, displaced center O dash of the bearing under load. Okay, it is denoted by symbol small e. Okay, uh, here eccentricity is the radial radial distance between the center of the bearing minus center of the shaft. Okay, here O dash is the center of the bearing. Okay, this outer circle is bearing. So this the center point of this outer circle is O dash. Okay, and this inside circle is a shaft. This inside circle is shaft. So the center of this inside circle is O. Okay, O is the center of the inner circle, that is the shaft. O is the center of the shaft, and O dash is the center of the circle, center of the bearing. Okay, so the radial distance between the center of the bearing and the center of the shaft is eccentricity. Okay, eccentricity is the distance between center of the bearing and the center of the shaft. So this one is indicated by symbol E. Eccentricity is denoted by symbol small e. Okay. Now minimum oil film thickness, that is H naught. Here this one is H naught. The gap, between shaft and bearing is called clearance. Here minimum oil film thickness is equal to minimum clearance. Okay, so here the minimum gap, where the minimum gap takes place here, this here the gap is more, so this one is maximum clearance. Okay, here here medium clearance, but here this one the gap between shaft and bearing is very less compared to other parts. So this gap, minimum gap is equal to minimum oil film thickness. So it is indicated by symbol H naught. Okay. Uh, he- so minimum oil film thickness H naught is the minimum distance between the bearing and journal under complete lubrication. Okay, under complete lubrication condition. Okay, it is denoted by symbol H naught and occurs at the line of centers as shown in figure. Okay, its value may be assumed as C by 4. Okay, in for problem from for subject point of view, we consider H naught as C by 4. Okay, where C is the diametral clearance, capital D minus small d, capital D minus small d by 4. Okay, H naught equal to capital D minus small d by 4. And other definition is attitude or eccentricity ratio, epsilon. It is denoted by symbol epsilon. Okay, it is the ratio of the eccentricity to the radial clearance. Okay, it is the ratio of the eccentricity to the radial clearance. Already in previous slide, already we have discussed about eccentricity. Eccentricity is the radial distance between the O dash and O. Okay, radial distance between the center of the bearing and the center of the shaft is called eccentricity, small e. Okay, eccentricity is denoted by symbol small e. So the ratio of eccentricity to the radial clearance is called eccentricity ratio. So eccentricity small e divided by radial clearance C1 is called attitude. Okay, so the formula for E equal to C1 minus H naught by C1. So therefore epsilon equal to 1 minus H naught by C1. Okay, or epsilon equal to 1 minus 2H naught by C. This is the formula for attitude. Okay, now coming to the another one, that is a short bearing, long bearing and square bearing. Long bearing, short bearing and square bearing. How to differentiate? How to differentiate long, short and square bearings? Already we know that small d is the diameter of the shaft. Okay, small d is the diameter of the shaft, and l is the length of the bearing. Okay, therefore the if the ratio of the length to the diameter of the journal l by d is less than 1. Okay, if l by d ratio is less than 1, then the bearing is said to be short bearing. Okay, if the ratio of L by D is greater than 1, then the bearing is known as long bearing. If the ratio of L by D equal to 1, then the bearing is known as square bearing. Okay, this is the bearing. Here, this is the length of the bearing, and this one is the diameter of the shaft. Okay, the diameter of the shaft equal to, here I consider diameter of the shaft equal to inner diameter of the bearing. Okay, this is the inner diameter of the bearing, but here we don't know about diameter of the shaft, so I consider here diameter of the bearing equal to diameter of the shaft. Okay, so here this one is a short bearing. Okay, for short bearings, the diameter is greater than the length. So length is the length of the bearing is shorter than the diameter. So therefore here the condition is L less than D. Okay. Here length is small and capital D is capital D or small d is big. Okay. Now coming to long bearing, this is the length. The length of the bearing equal to capital L, and D is the diameter of the bearing. Here the length of the bearing is larger than the diameter of the bearing. Okay, here diameter is smaller than the length. Okay, diameter of the shaft is smaller than the length of the bearing. So here length is greater than the diameter. So this bearing is called long bearing. Okay, here, okay, understood. Now here also this one is a length of the bearing, and this one is the diameter of the shaft. Here the diameter of the shaft is equal to length of the bearing. Okay, then then the bearing is known as a square bearing. For square bearings, length equal to diameter. For long bearings, L greater than D. For short bearings, L less than D. Okay, these are the conditions for short, long, and square bearings. Okay, now this topic is very important for subject point of view as well as exam point of view. Bearing characteristic number, that is Zn by P, and bearing modulus, that is capital K, for journal bearings. Okay, in this slide, I will explain about bearing characteristic number and bearing modulus K for journal bearings. Okay, journal bearings also called as a sliding contact bearings. Okay, here first of all you have to know the nomenclature of these terms. There is Z, N, P, and K values. Okay, this is the expression for bearing characteristic numbers and bearing moduluses. Okay, mu. Here, mu is the coefficient of friction. Okay, coefficient of friction. Okay, this value is a coefficient of friction between the bearing surface and shaft surface. Now, pi. Pi is the functional relationship symbol. Okay, functional value. This is pi indicates functional value, and Z, capital Z is the absolute viscosity. Capital Z indicates absolute viscosity. Absolute viscosity of the lubricant. Okay, capital Z indicates absolute viscosity of the lubricant. Okay, and the units of absolute viscosity is kg per meter second. Kg per meter second, or dynes, poise, centipoise. Other units are there, that is poise, centipoise, and dynes. Okay. Now capital N is the speed of the shaft. Okay, capital N is the speed of the shaft, and it is in RPM. Okay, it is in RPM. RPM means revolutions per minute. And P is the bearing pressure. Okay, bearing pressure on the projected bearing area. The units for bearing pressure is Pascal, megapascal, or Newton per mm square, or Newton per meter square. Okay, here the formula for bearing pressure P equal to load on shaft divided by projected area. Here the projected area equal to length of the bearing into diameter of the shaft. Okay, so pressure P equal to load on the journal, that is W by L into D. Okay, now here small d is the diameter of the shaft, and L is the length of the bearing. C is the diametral clearance. Diametral clearance, that is the gap, the difference between shaft, diameter of the shaft, and the diameter of the bearing is called diametral clearance. Okay, The factor Zn by P is termed as a bearing characteristic number. Okay, and is a dimensionless number. The factor Zn by P helps to predict the performance of the bearing. Okay, yeah, Zn by P is a bearing characteristic number. Okay, Zn by P is a bearing characteristic number, and also it is a dimensionless number. That means there is no units for bearing characteristic number. Okay, there is no units for Zn by P. Okay, and this factor Zn by P helps to predict the performance of a bearing. Okay, Zn by P is useful to predict the performance of a bearing. The variation of coefficient of friction with the operating values of bearing characteristic number Zn by P as obtained by Mackey brothers. Okay, S.A. Mackey and T.R. Mackey in an actual test of friction is shown in figure. Now, the coefficient of friction in design of bearings. The coefficient of friction in the design of bearings is of great importance because it affords a means for determining the loss of power due to bearing friction. Okay, it has been shown by experiments that the coefficient of friction for a full lubricated journal bearing is a friction of three variables. Okay, friction of three variables, that is Zn by P, that is bearing characteristic number, and d by c is the diameter clearance ratio, and L by d is the ratio of length of the bearing to the diameter of the shaft. Okay, so these three parameters are very important for problems. Okay, in tomorrow class I will explain about design procedure of journal bearings. Okay, in next class I will explain how to design a journal bearing. Okay, and how to calculate the heat heat dissipation coefficient, heat generation. Okay, okay, tomorrow class I will explain about these values again. Okay, because these values are very important for journal bearings design. Okay, okay friends, well, thank you. If any doubts, please ask me. Any doubt, please ask me.